And then on Wednesday, I said, I think you're doing a concert today, June. Is that right? If so, have a fab time. Are you still okay for Friday? This is all in the chain of conversation. She's replied, what is happening Friday again? Sorry.
Calm yourself. Calm yourself. Be cool, Fonzie. Be cool.
Be cool, guys. Everybody, just be cool.
Looks and sounds good.
Hey!
June, can you hear us?
No, we're not hearing.
Yeah.
They're not hearing.
We're not hearing you. So
That's okay. You take your time.
We're not hearing you.
That's okay. I love this. Look at this. They're in a state-of-the-art recording studio.
That's odd.
Can you hear us now? No. Uh-oh.
Sure.
Speaker.
I love it. They're going to change the speaker.
Oh, there. Okay.
Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you.
Hey, June.
Thank you, June. Thank you, June's assistant.
You got it.
This is Lee.
Hello.
Hey, Lee.
Hey, Lee. How you doing? Thank you, man.
Yeah, how's it going?
Yeah, very
Thanks,
well.
Lee. All right. Awesome.
June,
Yeah,
we are
so
live.
then-
We're on. We're doing it. We're there.
Yeah, we are there. It's awesome.
So nice to meet you, June. Thank you so much for doing this. How the devil are you?
Well, I'm on chemo, so I have to. I definitely have to parse my time every day. So this is the third thing I'm doing with the rest breaks.
Okay.
Actually, I just went from shooting video out in the barn with Lee to coming in the studio.
Oh, God bless you. I didn't know you were poorly. How is the treatment going?
The fourth one is this Monday, so I get pretty exhausted. So I just have to time everything I do. It's like music, you just have to time the rhythm.
Yeah.
So
Well, we won't listen. We won't keep you too long. Any point you
don't
feel
worry
too.
about it. No,
Well, in that case, we're going to keep you for an hour. We want a solo concert. We want.
Can you see the studio behind me?
It looks incredible. It looks incredible.
really
What a
cool.
place.
Yeah. So, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So Lee is Gene's son with Earl Slick, the guitar player,
Oh wow. Okay, son. We got.
who happens to be here actually also. So it's one.
It's going off on tangents. Am I correct that you were friends with Peter Tork of the Monkees?
Oh yeah, the last session he did was right in this room.
Was it really? I'm a huge
Yeah.
Monkees fan, and it was.
Oh,
The
yeah.
last session was there.
Yeah, great guy, just a really great guy, and he really understood the value of IMA. So, I miss him like crazy, and we met him through Leah Kunkel actually, who's a close friend of ours and who lives in Northampton. So
Leah Kunkel, of course. Everything. Did you ever meet Cass Elliott, Mama Cass?
I did not meet Cass, but I've of course now we finally gotten Leah to talk a little about her, because she's so kind of not wanting to talk about that time so much, but I know how important she was to the whole scene. That
Cass,
I do know.
We've had so many guests, and Cass linked them. Just seems to link so many. She's this thread going through the 60s and the 70s through pop and rock. It's phenomenal.
Actually, it's Leah Kunkel and Peter Tork who told me the importance of how she put people together.
Yeah.
So I really understand that now. I did not know that before, but of course I knew the Canyon.
Yeah.
Frank Zappa's place, and Richard Perry lived up in the Canyon, and
Let's talk Fanny. By the way, you know what Fanny means over in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know. You should know that we did not know what it meant when we
thought so.
Changed our name from Wild Honey to Fanny. Yeah.
Let's talk about Fanny in a second. But IMA, the place you're at, I hadn't heard of this, and I've been kind of looking into it since you mentioned it to me. It sounds incredible. What is the kind of background of it?
The background is after I got through, the big phase of rock and roll with Fanny, and then I left, and a couple of years later, I got introduced to women's music, feminism and women's music through Chris Williamson. I did that with her for maybe 5 years, and then somewhere around '86, after I got together with Ann, we decided to put IMA together to pass it on. Because I've had so much really good luck and good fortune in all my years, and have been able to learn so much. And like with people like Leah Kunkel, who actually taught vocals at our very first camp in 2002.
Wow.
People like her and Christine Ullman and, so on and so forth, other women who are willing to help share what they know. This thing is really working. And of course, we have to fundraise all the time, but it's a nonprofit. So it's really a big deal. And it's the only one of its kind in the world that I know of that really has a structure, that owns the property, and that's going to pass it on to the next generation, who actually we have 2 generations ready to take the reins.
You've been doing this since before feminism kind of had a resurgence in recent times, like when people said that there were problems.
No. We started IMA around 86, 87.
Right.
Yeah, and that's feminism had its
Sure.
resurgence way before that.
Sorry, what I meant was kind of talking about the problems within music and entertainment industry that we've been talking about more. I don't know, maybe it seems like we've been talking about it more in the last few years because of social media. But what you're doing there is pretty special and pretty unique. Was it because of that kind of stuff that was going on before?
It's incredible, really. Say that again. What's the first part of the question?
Was that born out of the fact that you thought, actually, we need to give women a chance to get away from all that crap and be able to just do their thing without having to worry about the sexual politics so much?
Actually, to tell you the real story, I was at a meeting at Olivia Records, which was kind of the nexus of the beginning of women's music. They put out Chris's album, Changer and the Change, and a lot of other albums. I was at a meeting at their place in 1976, right? So that was after I left Fanny, but as I was getting involved in women's music, and they want to get more women of color involved in the company, so Chris asked me to go to this meeting, and I did. And during the meeting, I was hearing a lot of kind of wild, almost kind of Pollyanna-ish thinking that I thought would never work. Like, no one's ever going to be more popular than the other in terms of artists. It's going to be totally egalitarian. We're going to share everything. And I thought, I'd already been through Fanny, and I know the music business. It is a competitive business. That's just it. I mean, it's like life. It's competitive. So I heard this voice inside my head say, who's going to take care of all the young ones who are coming, right? 10 years later, exactly, I'm with Anne. I'm living with her at Hampshire College, and she's running the Women's Center. And I started to hear the voices again. And not only were they speaking to me like in, real life, I could kind of intuit, but then in my dreams, they were really speaking loudly. And Angela Davis is a friend of mine, and I was hanging out with her in San Francisco, and I told her about these voices and the vision. And she said, well, get going. And I'm like, what? I mean, I'm not an organizer, right? And, but she said the only thing that could possibly work, here's what she said, but they're talking to you, so get going. And so there was the imperative, number one, they were talking to me. And number two, I was with Anne, who was a great organizer. So the two of us decided to start putting it together. And by the way, Angela Davis was on the founding board. So, that's pretty amazing. And so was Roma Barron, who was, or who is Laurie Anderson's producer. And they have reissued her first album, Big Science, on vinyl, by the way.
So
I don't know if you know that.
Laurie Anderson recently. Because Laurie Anderson particularly is just such a unique sound, and it's we played some recently.
She's a big deal. Yeah,
you're a big deal, and you're a big deal. Yeah. I mean, you're a big deal in your life and to those people that love you. But there's a lot of excitement around Fanny that hasn't been there for a while with this movie that is coming out. Now, have you seen it yet? Because when I wrote to you a couple of weeks ago, I don't think you'd seen it, had you?
No, I hadn't, and I saw it in 2 pieces because when she sent me a link, she sent us all a link, a 48-hour link. So I had to work actually in the studio, so Anne and the rest of our friends queued it up. by the time I walked in, I saw the second half, and then the next day I saw the first half. So I have conceptually, I have seen the documentary, and a lot of it was shot right here in the studio because this
Yeah.
is where Fanny Walked the Earth. The basics were recorded, and a lot of it. So, and in the big barn, which is right on the other side of that window, is where we were as we were setting up and recording, doing pre-production and all that. So these rooms are very much a part of the story, as in now.
Yeah.
Aside from the beat, I don't even know if she got the Beat Club footage in there, but certainly a lot of other stuff from back in the day, right? Pictures of Fanny Hill and talking about it and so on and so forth.
Do you like looking back? Are you a fan of looking back? I kind of get the impression from what I've seen and read about you is that you like being in the present and looking forward and facing forward. What was it like looking over your shoulder like that?
Well, I've been doing so much of it since 1916, 17, when we all decided to do this together, that I almost live in all three dimensions simultaneously. I mean, I
Right.
can switch, and a lot of the songs that I'm writing now, like I have a song called Girls Don't Dream. And that and two other songs I wrote, bam, in like 4 days, right after the inauguration and the insurrection and all that. And I could feel, 46's heel kind of leave the back of my neck. And so I wrote "Girls Don't Dream" and two other songs. One of the other songs, "Too Close to the Bone." And by the way, Lee and his dad, Earl Slick, played on all three. "Too Close to the Bone." You can already feel it, right? So I feel like, in particular, "Girls Don't Dream" is completely relevant to all three dimensions of the Svelts, to Wild Honey, to Fanny, to feminism, to the now with the movie, because Girls Don't Dream was a line. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It told us what we couldn't dream. They told us what we couldn't dream of, and I'm calling them out on it.
I love it.
It's a very powerful song. So that'll be out in a couple of months.
I love you so much, right? Honestly, I am totally fanboying
Yes.
here. And I've asked Catherine to kind of keep me in check.
Nice.
That Beat Club footage, which is where we see the Ain't That Peculiar and all
My
that
God,
stuff.
it's so good.
It
Thank you. Thank
rocks
you.
so hard. Even the records rock, right? But the seeing you live in that context, it's such an amazing sound.
Yeah.
When did you realize? When did it click for you? The sound of Fanny. You went, oh shit! I think we've got something here. Do you remember that moment?
I think it clicked in 1965 with the Svelts. Honestly, if you're going to talk about Fanny in a musical sense, you really got to go back to the Svelts, because that's when we really learned to click as a band. And Alice wasn't even in it yet. Our first drummer was Kathy Terry, but it was two different girls. But it was me and Jean always.
Yeah.
But we first realized that we were getting the groove in 65.
Right.
And by the time, Alice joined the band, I think in 67, we got to LA in 68 or 69, we knew that we had it happening because we were a self-formed band. That's the important part to remember. Fanny was a self-formed band starting in late 64 with our band, the Svelts. We had our own PA. We knew how to rock. We knew how to funk, actually. We were more a funk band than we were a rock band. But, of course, we did some rocking. And it was just well, it's all still up here. That's what I mean about living in three dimensions. I still am trying to reach for stuff I hear in my head. But that's what it's about. You keep practicing and you keep reaching for what you hear in your head. And I'll tell you, I think the three most important influences on me, there are some forgotten guys, and they're all guys other than Bonnie Raitt. Lowell George, Elliot, Elliot, the man. Are You Reeling in the Years? I played that solo.
Oh,
And Skunk Baxter.
yep.
You know who I'm talking.
I know exactly who you mean.
So Skunk Baxter, Lowell George, not
Someone
Joe
in,
Elliott.
someone in the
Anyway,
chat is going to put
those
the
three
name in.
guys are the ones who convinced me. Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, I was
So
going to say someone. Go on.
those three guys were the ones are the ones who talked me into finding my own voice. And my own voice was more in the tone and finding lines that you could sing, more in the George Harrison style. That would ignite you somehow inside. It doesn't matter how fast I play, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not really a fast player. I mean, I can do it every once in a while. I can hit on it, but that's not really that's not really my voice. And when I found my voice finally, really way back in the Svelts, that's when it started to really click. And that's still my thing even now, but now I feel like I'm just as good of a songwriter as I am a guitar player, so and I like that. The skills overlap. I really like that a lot, and I'm not even trying to write anymore. They just kind of come at me.
Someone
these
in the
songs.
chat is saying Elliot Randall, and
Elliot Randall, that's
there
it.
we got there. But also, you're right.
One of
I
my
mean,
best friends. How did I forget his name?
One of the great things about George Harrison, who you mentioned, is he was not one of those flashy kind of Hendrix, soloists that was trying to cram 20 notes into 5 seconds. His skill was the gaps, was kind of little bits, the slide guitar in the 70s, of course, which I know you are great at. But his skill was the gaps. Sometimes less is more.
Well, I'll tell you, one time Richard came back, our producer, Richard Perry, came back from England, and he had a demo acetate of Let It Be.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, he played it in the studio really loud, and it had George's guitar solo going through a Leslie. I think that's why I ended up playing guitar through Leslie, like on Badge and etc. Because when I heard that, it was in the studio with the speakers really loud. It was not the final mix, but I heard what he was doing. I'm like, my God, I can sing that solo.
Yeah.
I can sing that solo, and that impressed me and actually influenced me for the rest of my life. That's what I'm going after. It's tone and something that I can sing even in my head. That's the biggest thing for me. And I never deviate from that, really. I mean, I can play a few Jimi Hendrix style licks, like my song on Fanny Walk the Earth, You Rule Me. What is the name? It's based on Jimi Hendrix licks. And is after I wrote that song is when I realized, my God, I didn't know I was influenced that much by Jimmy on the lick side. I knew I was influenced by him on the rhythm side, because that's actually was his favorite thing, playing rhythm. And that is my favorite thing as well. And so much of what I play on rhythm is so Jimmy, And I saw him at his first gig in San Francisco at the Fillmore West, and that would have been early '68, right? And that was after he'd just gotten off the road with the Monkees audience, and I talked to Peter about this. They hated Jimmy. They were booing him. Get off the stage, So, I mean, he went through a lot of phases, but he took it and he did his voice,
That's the thing, watching you guys perform, you are yourselves, right? You're not doing it to entice, you're not doing any of that stuff. And it's strange to our eyes, because we're used to so many times when you see particularly a female artist, that there is that extra element that the guys don't have to worry about. You're just doing your thing. Did you ever get pressurized, or was it ever suggested that you should be more, I don't know, more sexual like that? Or did you tell them to get lost straight away?
Well, number one, we never postured like guys, like that whole thing of play guitar with it, I hate that, actually. Guys, fine. I mean, you can, that's kind of how it started, but I never did that. And the first thing that I got turned on to. I was probably 18 and we're playing teen centers a lot. And I realized, oh, wow, I was moving my head and I could feel my hair. So I'm more connected with how the hair was moving on my body that helped to inform how, how I was feeling it internally and how I was expressing it to the audience, right? It wasn't until right before I left Fanny, maybe 5 months before, where they didn't feel like the record company and management didn't feel like we were selling enough records, and they really did pressure us to wear those other outfits, but they never could tell us how to move. That wasn't our thing. I mean, you can't, as far as I'm concerned, you can try to tell girls or women how to move, but I don't think that's really possible to do. You got to move what you're feeling, how you're feeling inside. That's my own theory, because that's what I do. I don't know anything else.
When you say you moved to LA and I think you said 67, 68, who were you hanging out with? Were you hanging out with like Love and Arthur Lee and the Doors and those kind of people, the Byrds?
No, I mean, we moved to LA. Actually, we got to LA in May of 69, actually.
69, okay.
Yeah, so we didn't hang out with so many crazy people. I mean, the first person who came to our house who was famous was actually Hal Blaine.
Wow.
Yeah, we knew who he was, but he found out that there were these chicks and
Right.
a mansion, up the road from the Chateau Marmont. Now, he was the beginning of the parade, the cavalcade of guys who would come up to the house. I mean, all of Little Feat, and Lil George was a very close friend of mine, all of ours, actually. I mean, it's true that one day I came down, I heard someone playing guitar downstairs, and I stuck my head, and looked down the stairs, and it was Dave Mason just sitting there, just practicing licks over and over. And I don't even know I'd met him before, but he was just using our space to practice, and I thought, well, that's great, guys from the band, and, Cocker and etc. They were really interested. I mean, sure, they were interested. Maybe they could score, but they were also interested in playing with us because they wanted to experience, well, what it would be like to actually play with a chick who knows what she's doing, who can push me rather than me pushing her on every level or trying to, And I think that's why the Beatles were so fascinated by us in their own way. They really they just loved that, knowing that we could play, and so did Jeff Emmerich. I mean, they just loved it so much. And by the way, Harry Nilsson was hanging out with us practically every day at Apple. He was in London,
Yeah.
And he was coming. The first time we went upstairs to the offices and met George and Ringo, I mean, Harry was with us. So it was like everyone was relaxed and convivial and all that.
Was it
kind of
relaxed?
stuff.
And we're huge Beatles fans, and meeting the Beatles in the '60s, was it relaxed? Was there a part of you that's going, "Holy shit, that's Ringo Starr"? What was it? Just you walk in as Ringo, hey Ringo.
It was
what like?
everything. Yeah, it was all of the above. Because sure, in the back of my mind, we're thinking that's two of the Beatles at least. We met Paul and Linda later that same trip because he was going to air, or actually they were going to air and doing some vocals, and Richard was recording Carly Simon there, that album that I had, You're So Vain. So we met them there, and it was, it was all like really relaxed. They acted like they were so happy to meet us, and they were overjoyed at meeting somebody in Fanny, right? I mean, we didn't gush at them; they gushed at us.
Wow.
And so that was nice. They made us feel really comfortable. And then later I met John in New York when Slick was playing on Double Fantasy because he wanted to meet me. And so Slick called me up. I happened to be at a sound check of a woman I was producing in a club in New York, and there was an announcement over the speaker, June Millington phone call for you. And I'm like, what? Who knows I'm here, right? But it was Slick, and he said, why don't you come down to Mr. Chow's because John wants to meet you. And I said, well, great, So I went to that restaurant, Mr. Chow's, and when I walked in the door, they had a long table with the entire band and Yoko and John at the end of the table, and he stood up with this huge grin and he mimed playing the guitar, and I went, yeah, So it was clear that he was, he was very into and enamored by the idea of meeting a chick who could play, or a woman whom he knew could play. I mean, we did Hey Bulldog, and we wrote another verse to it, so they knew.
Do you still enjoy it? I get the feeling that you're enjoying it as much now as you were in the 60s and the 70s, maybe even more so.
What do you say, enjoying it? You mean music?
Enjoying music, music. You seem
Ah!
inspired. You seem alive
it's everything.
with it.
Yeah. I am. It's not any different. It's really not any different, because music is what has always connected me to the world, and music is what caused people to start talking to me and Gene actually in the first place in junior high, when we did my song Miss Wallflower 62 in the spring of 62 in junior high. That's exactly how I felt. But the second we did that song with two other girls, all of a sudden we weren't the wallflowers at the dance, because people came up to us and spoke to us, and we realized, wow, this is the ticket. Because the myth is, well, guys, get into rock and roll first, sex, drugs, and and so on. I've never been able to drink, because I drink or really do many drugs because I don't have equilibrium or hearing on my left side. But also, we just wanted to make it like maybe one or two friends. Anybody who would talk to us was a thrill, So they started to talk to us, and we thought we'd already made it. My God, we had a couple of friends, and it just went on from there. So it's not just that people started to talk to us. I mean, as the years, reeling in the years, we were able to jam with them. We were able to create with them, and so on. So the picture's pretty big, it's vast, and it holds everything. That's what music does. Music holds everything. It's your heart. It's my heart. It's how we fall in love with each other in the universe. It's got it all. And actually, it never stops. When you do music, it passes through, this wall, and it just keeps going. So everything we say and do is in the Akashic Records, but it all actually still exists in the now. And I find that really exciting. I find the whole thing really as exciting as when Gene and I were playing ukuleles in the Philippines and singing with songs off the radio. That was a thrill.
I love you so much. Honestly, it's such a thrill to talk to you. I'm going to post the link for ima.org. You mentioned new songs and stuff. How would we find those when they come out? Where's the best place to keep looking to find out about your new releases?
Well, I think my Facebook page, and also IMA. IMA will post it. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put out a new album on vinyl. And it's going to have, well, of course, I'll put it out on CD too. The reason why I want to put it out on vinyl is because I'm such a kind of a pack rat with music. I have stuff that I've recorded on, cassette or tape or whatever, rehearsals from the 70s and stuff I recorded in Woodstock on my own. So I have stuff from the past, and I have stuff, like, as I mentioned, from the now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put them together with this photo that was taken in Woodstock, I would say maybe 78. That's kind of sexy, but it's so real. It's me. Obviously, I'd gotten up and I went right to my drum set, And it's there I am sitting on my drum set with snow boots on, but hardly anything on, and a bathrobe. And it's black and white, and it's just rocks. And I think that photo sort of typifies how I feel, even in the now with music. Everything disappears. I didn't know that picture was being taken.
Yeah.
And I'm smiling, and I'm in my bliss, right? So it's a bliss black and white shot that actually it represents it all, and I love it. So that's what I'm going to do.
Well, when it's out, we will plug it. Thank you
I
so
would
much.
say it's 2 or 3 months. Yeah.
Okay. It's so lovely to see you so happy, and I wish you the best of luck with your treatment. And thank you so much for coming and talking to us. And I think the movie's coming out in the UK in September. So
Oh,
we're
that's
gonna,
awesome.
yeah.
Also,
Oh,
I want to
yeah,
say
yeah.
as well, thank you for listening to The Voice and doing what The Voice asked you to do.
What did I do? I don't even remember anymore.
Well,
I've done so many.
This is the thing. I did get a panic when I messaged you a couple of days ago saying, "Are we still on for Friday? What's happening Friday?"
Oh, she's a busy woman.
Well, I really do have to parse my time. Yesterday I set my internal clock to do this with you guys so I wouldn't be keeling over, And now I'm going to just sort of work my way back to just my nighttime, life-saving mode.
Take care of yourself. We
Because I really
appreciate-
do have just X amount of energy. I'm not used to it.
Yeah. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you joining us
All
tonight.
right.
It's so lovely to see you. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll
Okay.
get to speak again at some
too.
point.
Thanks, June.
Thank you.
Okay,
Julie.
yeah.
I'm going to cut you off so you don't need to do the hanging up thing. I'll do it for you. Bye-bye.
See you soon, June.
Bye-bye. Oh, my God.
Wasn't she incredible?
Oh, my God. She was brilliant. Got to play some adverts. Come on,
She's
man.
like MZ's right. She's an actual hero.
Oh, she's a legend in so many levels.
Yeah,
On so many levels.
doing a thing. Imagine being that comfortable. That comfortable.
I like the fact she kept referring to her and the band as chicks. Oh, God. Wasn't it, Dave?
I don't think we can get any cooler. I know we can't get any cooler.
Oh, man. I said we keep it for 20 minutes. We had it for nearly for about 30. I've been a little bit naughty there, but
She seemed on really good form.
can't wait to see that movie. Yeah. I was really hoping the director was going to send me a link, and she didn't send me a link.
Have a look at the website of the place that she was mentioning there.
let's
Is
put
it
this.
YMA?
IMA.
IMA.
IMA.org. It's a cool place. That was great. That's one of my favourite guests ever.
I kind of want to talk to her after we've seen the documentary as well. Do you think she will?
I mean, she might do. We still cool for Friday. What's happening Friday? Then oh yeah, no, that should work.
She's got a lot of stuff on her mind.
But some other people have done it. I'm going, her was like, I love her even more.
I know.
I love her even more.
Yeah.
She was fabulous. I just want to.
Imagine the audacity of trying to tell that woman how to dance.
Oh, jeez. Let's just find one more clip of her. Let's end on one more clip of her. The version of Hey Bulldog, by the way. I wonder if there's a video of that. Let's see if we can find something that isn't that beat club. There's not much stuff. There's not much. Let's just drag us up there. Let me put us there. There's not much stuff that isn't. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's all the beat club. This is
a film trailer.
Than the musician community.
So this is the documentary.
I had no idea who they were, but this 4 minutes worth of music, I was like hooked.
The queens of rock and roll, Fanny.
Take care of yourself. This is your story.
Fanny is iconic, truly before their time. Men coveted rock and roll, that was theirs.
This is a girl with an instrument on. So, okay, this is a game changer.
Fanny was the first all-women rock band that could really play and really get some credibility within the musician community.
So we broke through that barrier, and it wasn't through talking, we just fucking did it.
There was so much pressure all the time. I mean, you have to remember how young we were and how scared we were, really.
We're brown, and nobody knows where the Philippines is, and many times when I felt worthless and challenged.
It was hard. Being gay was still a disease. You could not be a lesbian in Fanny.
They're like my sisters. I've known them since I was 16.
Being in a rock band gave us a place to belong. We were all different together.
They made 5 records. You know, the Go-Go's get a lot of attention for what we did, and we only made 3 records.
They didn't have that #1 hit in the platinum records that the other bands had, but those other bands wouldn't have had those platinum records if Fanny didn't open the door. It's always the ones that started that get fucked.
Let's go back to where it all began. 17, then we started a band.
Oh, I love him so much.
If I had many lines in my face as Keith Richards, I don't know that we would have been offered a record deal.
On the road, girls on the go, doing what we knew was gonna save our souls.
Rocking is a metaphor. When you fail, you pick yourself back up again.
They were considered badass, and they still are.
My big joke with my friends now, maybe I'll be famous when I'm 80.
I need to see that.
Yes, mate. Yes. What's this? Anyway.
What was that?
Bonsoir. De rock en stock, et puisque le mois dernier, c'est le mois dernier, il n'y a pas de doute, je vous avais promis Monts et Merveilles, mais les Monts et les Merveilles vont arriver. Ce sont 2 groupes américains, mais 2 groupes américains assez particuliers puisqu'ils sont entièrement composés de jeunes femmes. Ce sont les 2 seuls qui existent au monde, les 2 seuls qui sont venus nous rendre visite à Paris.